Hello, awesome people. I hope you are having just an absolutely amazing day today. Today, I wanted to take a look at my thoughts on the serial The Crimson Ghost from 1946. For you folks, it's a 12-part Republic serial that I saw for the first time. And so as a part of my Serial Saturday day on the channel, when I want to dedicate to older serials, the forgotten TV and movie styles that are sort of forgotten today, particularly movie serials that brought people to the audience, loved them lots, and heavily stuff. So I thought this would be a fun opportunity for me to do a deeper dive into this for you folks. So I got my notes here on the phone and such. So if you see me looking down and not giving you the eye contact that you deserve, that's the reason why. It's in 22-point font. It's like a really deep 2 pages of notes. All right. So this is a faster 12-part serial, like I mentioned before, 2 hours and 47 minutes. Usually 12-parters are in the 3 hours in sections, right? And so this is a very, very fast serial. There are movies today that aren't even 2 hours and 7 minutes long, right? That are longer, right? Like superhero films that you might go and see. So that's great stuff. I saw it. Now, when I saw it, it was on YouTube for the first time. It was on YouTube. I'll link it to you in the comments below. It was in somebody's superhero queue and so forth. And while I do think that the Crimson Ghost is arguably a super villain, right, in all the classic ways, I don't think that his protagonist rather, of it is a superhero in that concept, right? He doesn't have any powers like a Batman or a Captain America or Captain Marvel or Superman, right? And so forth. He doesn't have any. Now he can get out of things like any clever person, but he's just a regular person, right? If that makes sense to you. Now, this is heavily influential. People today really, really know the Crimson Ghost because of the band, the Misfits, the punk horror band that really put them on the map and really sort of, adopted a lot of the iconography of this a lot and so forth. So there are a lot of modern things. When Republic went to colorize their serials for modern fan bases, this is one of 2 serials that they did that with. Love it lots. For that reason, so they definitely care about that and such. So normally I would see a serial in one day on a Saturday, ironically enough, because it's the day I get the most time. But then in many sittings. This one, because it was so short, I just did it one sitting because of how fast it was. I just wanted to sit down. I was like, really? There are movies here. So I actually just did this one sitting. You could do. Because of how short it is. This is heavily influential on modern pop culture, like I mentioned before. Like other Republic serials, this one, the bad guy isn't revealed until the last chapter. And they actually do some things to make you not know what it is ahead of time. Love that lots. And such. Like Captain America, which I had just seen prior to this, also Republic, from a couple of years from. They actually revealed it in who the Crimson was in the first. I'm sorry, not the Crimson. Who the Scarab was in the first episode. And I'm like, that's not really that tenseful or suspenseful. Why would we care? Right? That is a secret identity that nobody knows because we do, right? But you can turn out, it's definitely a classic. Check out the serial's last chapter to find out who the bad guy is, right? And so forth. Check it out. I'm being in this theater next week, right? It can be a selling point, but they just didn't sell that. Here, it's sold well. So I think they got back to that, and so forth. So the lead here is a professor, Duncan Richards, for you folks. He is a physicist and a criminologist, too, and such. He is played by Charles Quigley. For his folks, his assistant secretary is played by Linda Sterling. She's also in some sets and some scenes, too, and is heavily involved, too. Their main adversary is Ash. He is the primary henchman and will regularly fight them and try to abduct them and sort of thing. He's the primary physical antagonist of the Crimson Ghost. And he's played by Clayton Moore. For you folks, directed by 2 people, Fred Manning and William Whitney. This is Whitney's last part, although he'll live till the century, but this is his last serial. Directing for you folks. And it's written by 4 people. I'll show you them up there on the screen because I don't want to take too much of your time just reading a bunch of writers to you and such. But there you go. But like I said before, this is a faster paced serial, like Republic and all ones. It really has great action scenes. They really pour a lot into it. This was the most the most expensive of their serials in this year, and you can tell it shows up on the set in a lot of great ways. I really like that this has a unique IP. The Crimson Ghost didn't exist in comics. It didn't exist in cartoons. It didn't exist in script or short stories or novels. Right? It wasn't a pre-existing IP. It's a brand new one, kind of like the Phantom Empire with Gene Autry we did a few weeks ago. It's a unique IP that was created just for this media. I think that's pretty strong stuff. Love it lots for those reasons. My main issues here are a couple. First of all, unlike Captain Marvel, which was also by Republic at 10 out of 10, I feel like there are some issues here, particularly in the fact that they retell a lot of the previous things they show on one screen later on. It feels like padding. Now, this actually was padding at the time to get the run times and so forth, but it's right. Like, it would make sense if you were in a serial sequel, right? For the Greenhorn Strikes Again, you might come back and say, okay, the Greenhorn Strikes Again. Let's have some scenes showing what happened in the previous one, in case they didn't see, and so forth. But this one was a 12-parter, and it's not even a longer one, and it was very, very past-based, and they weren't that long. So it felt like padding at the end. So I pulled a point for that. So that's what's getting a 9 out of 10 for you folks, instead of the 10 out of 10 that Captain Marvel from Republic a couple of years prior that absolutely nailed it and got it out of the park in every major way. And so forth. So again, I drop it to a 9 out of 10 for you folks. Now let's talk about serial stuff. Like I mentioned before, movies, serials were a different way of telling stories that we have largely forgotten today. We have, except by phone bus, we have remembered the movies because they still stick around. We've remembered television that was created and so forth, but this is a forgotten telling story genre and so forth. Basically, the idea here is to get people out to the movie theaters. And so typically what you would do, like on a Saturday, for example, today or tomorrow, Sundays, and so forth, you would go out and go with your family and all the communities, all your school, everybody would show up, your people from work, your people from your local community group, from church, whatever. They would all go at the movies together and for a few hours. And unlike today, they wouldn't just see one film. They would go see a bunch of stuff, right? And so forth. So they would I'll sit down together, let's say at noon. And then I'm just making that time up, but you get the idea. And then, so they'll sit down at noon, they'll have a couple of shorts before the A picture. And these are shorts. Today, they would be trailers. And there were a few trailers here and there, but not typically for many of the films that happen like you would think today. Instead, they would be newsreels or those shorter cartoons that you might see, like the Disney stuff that are like 3 or 4 minutes long for the kids and so forth. And then the first picture would show, then a couple of the shorts, and then the next chapter of a movie serial. Then intermission, and then the idea by having the movie chapter, serial chapter be the last part is to help have something to talk about during intermission. Did you like that? What do you think is going to happen? How's it going to get out of this, this cliffhanger? Literally, in some cases, that's where the word comes from. And then, and such, and it would cause all that conversation and kind of have them come back. And then the second half, after like a half an hour intermission to go have snacks and talk about the film and go to the bathroom, that sort of thing, you would start again with a couple of shorts. Then the B picture, which oftentimes would be, like maybe 70 or 80 minutes. It'd be pretty short. Sometimes just an hour. It'd be pretty short. And also they didn't have a lot of great productions either. And then after that, you would have another couple of shorts, and then you would finish with the finale, which is the next and final serial. And then see you next week. And now at serial, you would talk about that on the way out, on both the serials, and then at that next week at college, at schools, at work, and such, and at your local stuff. So that's So that is where this concept comes from. It's how you got people back into it. It was the water cooler talk of the day. They weren't talking about the films. They weren't talking about the cartoons. They were talking about the cereals. There are cereals out there like Flash Gordon that sold so many, that made theaters that didn't typically show cereals in the areas, they made them and they would just sit down and watch them all in one day, right? And so forth. It was incredibly strong stuff, and a beloved way of telling stories that we've forgotten today. And so that's why I like to spend some time. As a reminder, this channel is named "The Worst Thing About New Books." It's a quote by a French philosopher, Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about them was that they kept us from reading the old ones, right? So there's definitely some older stuff. In this case, we watched it. But you get the idea. That's heavily influential, but we forgot about it. So, it's fun stuff. But yeah, that's why I like to get past the channel. If you want to check this out for next week's Serial Saturday, hit the like button and the subscribe button to find us, and the bell icon to be notified of my videos. I also try to do a movie reviews and such on Friday right now. I'm doing my top superhero films. Yesterday was my top 10 superhero films from the 2010 to 2019 for you folks. And so if you like this and you want to check this out, check out that too. I think it'll be fun if you're interested in checking this out too. And then and then come back for next week for Serial Saturday. Fun stuff. And so I just want to thank you, so very much for taking some time out of your day and investing it and watching my video, right? Because we all have so many things that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spend time with me, that's incredibly humbling. So I appreciate it again so very, very much. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.